useful for her because not only does she use it as another foot, so when she's up high in the trees and she's trying to climb up even higher and those 2 feet on her are busy, she'll use that beak kind of as another foot. But she'll also use that beak to crack open some of her most favorite foods such as nuts and seeds. Now for Chloe here, I do have a hazelnut for her. Now does anyone feel super strong and want to help me out with this hazelnut? Anyone? Do you want to come down, sweetie? Yeah?
Yeah!
Go, Martina.
Now what's your name, sweetie?
Martina.
Martina? Oh, that's a beautiful name. Now Martina, what I have for you is I have this hazelnut. Come on, right down with me. I have this hazelnut. Now try to crack that open for me any way you can. So you can squeeze it. Super strong. Oh, I heard your knuckles crack. It's super hard, huh? Yeah? Well, I'll take that hazelnut on back. You want to stay up here right with me? We'll bring Chloe on over and we'll actually listen for her to crack that nut for us.
Wow.
Whoa, within that second. But I think you loosened it for her. Yeah. Well, I have a sticker for you, sweetie. Thank you so much for coming up. Everyone give her a big round of applause. She did amazing.
I was about to break it.
She was about to break it. I heard
too
it.
hard.
But Chloe here, as you all saw, she's very strong. So she was able to crack that nut right in half. And that also means she's also accurate as well. But if you guys see, she's actually holding that food with those feet. Now those feet, they're called zygrodactyl feet. And all that means is she has 2 toes in the front and 2 toes in the back, which allow her to hold onto her food, hold on to those tree branches, and Aubrey's hand as well. Now these macaw species, they're also very intelligent. And with that intelligence level, they can learn a lot of different things. And one of the things they can learn is actually called mimicking. So out in the wild, they'll mimic other macaw sounds because that is their flock and that is their family. But when they live with us humans, they actually mimic what we say. And Chloe here, along with all of our parrots, they were previous pets. And we don't know much about their previous homes, but we may know a few things from those mimicking skills. Like with Chloe here, we think that her family, well, they maybe had allergies because they love to finish our sneezes. Oh, that was like a little kiss, Chloe. Let's try that one again. Chloe, bless you. Now, we also think that Chloe's family, one of their favorite holidays was actually Halloween because she loves to practice her monster. Right, super scary. Now, sometimes when she's practicing that Halloween costume, well, she gives us a little scare and she thinks it's funny. Chloe, is it funny? Right, kind of a little laugh. But she knows that sometimes when she laughs at us, well, it kind of hurts us and she wants to remind us that she loves us. Chloe, I love you. What was that? I love you. There we go, super sweet. And she loves to send everybody off with a nice big kiss. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you so much for coming out and seeing us. Yes, thank you. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of our parrots, they were those previous pets. So please go on over and say hello to them. And they may say hello back, kind of like Chloe did, but she wasn't really wanting to say hello today. But when Chloe was eating that nut, she actually dropped it all over the ground. And that's perfect for our ground-dwelling species like Buffy here. Now Buffy, she's gonna be our striped skunk. Now these guys, they're actually native to North America and specifically here in Arizona as well. So you might actually see one of these guys in your own backyard. And I know that a lot of people are afraid of these skunks, and that is because of that spray. Now Buffy here, she can actually spray up to about 10 feet away, and she can hit a bullseye target. And they can spray as young as 8 days old, so that's even before they open their eyes. But Buffy here, she's not gonna spray just for any reason. And that's because when she does spray, it actually takes a week to refill those spray glands. So during that week, Buffy, she is defenseless. So she'll give off a lot of different warning signs before she does spray. Such as Buffy, she will hiss, she will growl, she'll puff up her fur very big, and the last thing she'll do is a handstand. If you do not heed that handstand warning, well then Buffy, she will turn around, aim, and fire. Now, I used to believe they actually get that skunk spray out with tomato juice, but that's actually a myth. So the best way to get that spray out is actually Dawn dish soap with a little bit of baking soda for that smell. Because people that use that tomato juice, they ended up smelling like tomatoes and skunk, and that does not smell really good together. But Buffy, she's great to have in our own backyards, and that's because she eats all the different things that we don't like, such as fleas, ticks, scorpions as well. But I will say she is actually a known predator for venomous snakes. Now you may be thinking, how does this adorable ball of fluff eat those venomous snakes? Well, I will say that her fur, it is so thick, so when that venomous snake tries to strike at her, all it gets is that mouthful of fur instead. And then Buffy, she will turn around and have that snake for a nice tasty snack. Now what's also really interesting about Buffy is that their striping pattern is as unique as her own fingerprints. So you actually won't find a single skunk that actually looks like Buffy here. Well, thank you, Buffy, so much for coming out and seeing us today. Thank you. Now for our next friend, we're going to stay in that little fluffy region, but in South America. Now this here is Cinnamon, and Cinnamon is going to be our Derby's woolly opossum. Now I know that she may not look like those different opossum species that we have here in North America. The ones that live on the ground, they're much larger than her as well. Cinnamon here, she actually lives really high up in the trees. And how you can tell that is she had those curved hands and feet that actually allow her to grip onto those tree branches as well as Angela's hand. But if you guys see as she is eating that food, sometimes she will hold it with those hands as well, so they are very dexterous. Now what you may also notice on Cinnamon is she has a really long tail. Now that tail is prehensile. So what that means is it's basically another foot for Cinnamon. So when she's high up in the trees and the wind is blowing, she'll actually wrap that whole tail around the tree branch, helping to keep her balance. Now unlike monkeys who can actually swing from their tail back and forth, Cinnamon, she actually can't do that. It is just used for balance. But Cinnamon, she is nocturnal, just like Buffy was. And so she comes out during the nighttime. And how you can tell that is she has really big eyes and really big ears. And as she's been out here, those ears, they've kind of been flicking back and forth. Now she's not nervous or cold or anything like that. She's actually just listening to all of the sounds around her to make sure that there are no predators near. But having those really big eyes also allows her to see more during this daytime. Because being nocturnal, they don't want to be up right now, but if they have to be because of a predator, they need to be able to see them. So having the much larger eyes allows more light and color in, especially when she is awake right now. Now these guys, they are what's called frugivores, which means they eat different types of fruits. And so some of her favorites are actually bananas, strawberries, and even grapes as well. But these guys do eat different types of insects as well out in the wild to make sure they get that nice protein source. Well, thank you, Cinnamon, so much for coming out and seeing us today.
Yay, Cinnamon. Yay.
Thank you. Now, Cinnamon, she's not even a year old just yet, and she actually came to us with her brother, and we named him Sugar. Yeah, Cinnamon Sugar is super cute. But now we're going down to the grasslands of South America for our next friend. Now, this here is going to be Ellie. And Ellie, she is our red-legged Surima. Now, unlike Chloe, who is a bird that lives up really high in the sky, and she eats all those different types of nuts and seeds, Ellie here is what's called a predatory bird, which means that she eats different types of small mammals and reptiles. But since she doesn't have a private chef like us out in the wild to cut up her food, she needs to do what's called a predatory slam. Well, she will actually find the snake. Ellie, come back here. We gotta find the snake, Ellie. She's like, I see a snake over there. Ellie, come here. Good job. Now, they will actually find that snake out in the wild, and it's usually in the grassland, so they're able to slam that snake on the ground, and it tenderizes her prey, so then she can break it up into those nice tiny pieces. Now, Ellie, with those really long legs, though, she's actually able to run up to about 40 miles per hour on land. So she is quite the fast runner. And she also does have a really cool toe that's actually right there on the back of her feet. That's very sharp. And so she's able to actually hold down her prey as well to tear it up into tiny pieces. But she's also able to jump up to about 6 to 8 feet tall in the air as well. So she is actually a very good jumper. And there are actually two types of Surimas out there in the world. There is the red-legged, just like Ellie here. And then there is the black-legged as well. Only difference between the two are the nice colors on those legs. While Ellie here, she has those orangish kind of red legs. Those black-legged will have those nice black legs. Well, thank you, Ellie, so much for coming out and seeing us today. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, for our next friend, we're traveling down to Africa. Now, this here is gonna be Barbie, and Barbie is our baby warthog. I know I saw your shirt before. Now, as I mentioned, Barbie here, she is our baby, but she is really big. Right now, she is upwards of about 100 pounds. And when they do get fully grown, they can get upwards about 200 to even 400 pounds, depending on if they are male or female. Now, what you may notice on Barbie is that she actually does not have a lot of hair, but she does have a nice long strip going right down her back. And so out in Africa, when the sun is out, it is always shining right there on her back. So she needs to make sure she has more protection there. So having more hair there kind of acts as a sunscreen. But what Barbie here will also do is she will also find a giant puddle of mud. She will rub herself head to toe in that mud, and that also acts as a sunscreen as well. It also helps prevent any parasites from getting on her skin. And as you can see, as she's out here, she's kind of flicking her tail back and forth. Now out in the wild, the purpose of that is to actually swat away any flies or parasites that might actually get on her skin. But these guys, they are what's called omnivores, which means they basically eat everything. So they eat fruits, vegetables, insects, and even carrion, which is actually carcasses out in the wild when they do need that nice protein source. And as you can see, maybe Barbie was showing off a little bit, but she's actually able to go down right there on her elbows. And she'll use that big nose on her to dig really deep underground. And that helps her get all sort of insects underground and any sort of other meat products that might be on that floor. And with warthog species, you may know that they usually have those really long and sharp tusks. But since Barbie here is not even a year old just yet, they are just starting to grow in. But if you do look at the side of her mouth really close, you'll see the holes on the side where they will start growing in. Now Barbie here, she'll stay on out here to just say hello to everybody, but she is our last animal for the show. So I do thank you all so much for coming. If you have any questions, please do ask. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day at the zoo, and thank you everyone.
I have a question.